28-year-old in Germany starts a knitting club in March and by the end of the year has over 100 members meeting monthly. College students are crocheting plushies for children in Malaysia. And the global knitting and crochet market is projected to grow by over $12 billion in the next 5 years. Today, we're unraveling the surprising sociological phenomenon behind fiber art's explosive comeback, why young people are choosing hooks over needles, and what this billion-dollar revival tells us about community, identity, and resistance to digital culture. By the end of this episode, you'll understand the historical forces that shaped these crafts and why they're becoming the unexpected answer to modern loneliness.
So let's start with something that might surprise people. This isn't just a cute hobby trend, is it?
Not at all. According to Crochet Penguin, over 73% of crocheters are now between the ages of 18 and 34. We're talking about a complete demographic flip from what most people imagine when they think of these crafts.
Wait, 73%? That's massive. What's driving this shift?
It's fascinating because it started during the pandemic. When the world went into lockdown, people experienced what researchers call screen fatigue from hours spent on digital devices. They were craving something analog, something they could hold and create with their hands.
And unlike scrolling through social media, you actually have something tangible at the end.
Exactly. The page content describes it as providing a sense of accomplishment and stress relief because knitting and crochet have tangible results, something you can hold, wear, or gift to others. It became this therapeutic escape from uncertainty.
But here's what I find interesting. We're talking about knitting and crochet together, but are young people gravitating more toward one than the other?
Great question. The data suggests crochet is actually winning out. Pamela Cordova, co-president of Baylor's Crochet Club, noted they've seen a lot of people joining a lot of fiber art stuff, crochet especially.
Why crochet specifically? What makes it more appealing?
Well, to understand that, we need to look at the history. Crochet's origins are actually quite mysterious. The exact beginnings are debated, but historians suggest it may have evolved from ancient techniques in the Middle East, South America, or China.
So it's this ancient craft with global roots.
Right. But what's really interesting is that modern crochet, as we know it, likely emerged in 19th century Europe. The word itself comes from the French croc, meaning hook. The earliest written reference appears in Elizabeth Grant's The Memoirs of a Highland Lady in 1812.
And then it spread from there.
Yes, and here's where it gets really compelling from a social perspective. During the Great Irish Famine from 1845 to 1852, Irish women created intricate lace patterns known as Irish crochet, which were sold throughout Europe and America. It became a vital source of income during a devastating time.
So crochet has this history of being both an art form and economic survival tool.
Exactly. And that economic aspect is huge today, too. The knitting and crochet market is forecast to increase by $12.28 billion between 2024 and 2029, with a compound annual growth rate of 6.9%.
That's incredible growth. But let's get back to why young people are choosing this now. What happened during the pandemic specifically?
The pandemic created this perfect storm. People had more free time, they were seeking offline activities, and they were craving community. But here's what's really interesting. Textile business expert Isabel Mann believes that fiber arts actually skipped a generation.
What does that mean exactly?
She argues that parents in the 90s and early 2000s simply never taught their millennial and Gen Z children how to do these crafts. So these generations had to teach themselves, often starting online through platforms like Instagram and TikTok.
So they learned digitally first, then moved offline?
Exactly. The trend began online through influencers like Petite and platforms like Ravelry. But then, as COVID lockdowns lifted, these same crafters decided it was time to take things offline. They were craving human interaction and a break from their screens.
And that's where the community aspect comes in.
Right. Virginia Meinhausen, who started Knitting Club Potsdam, put it perfectly. Being part of a community in person is something meaningful, not only just to speak to each other, it's also, wow, so many people are doing this and we are doing this together.
There's something powerful about that shared creation experience.
And it's creating what sociologists call third places, neutral, physical spaces separate from home and work or school. These young people are actively rebuilding the social infrastructure that's been lost.
That's fascinating. So they're not just making scarves, they're making community.
Exactly. And the numbers back this up. Research shows that over 3,000 knitters who knitted 3 or more times per week reported better mood. But here's the key part. Those who knitted with a group were more confident, had a sense of belonging, and made new social connections.
So there's actual psychological benefits to the group aspect.
Absolutely. Studies show that 2 or more hours of participation in creative arts each week results in increased well-being. But it goes beyond individual benefits. These crafts serve as unique forms of social bonding, particularly among women across generations.
And speaking of women, there's definitely a gender dimension to this, isn't there?
Huge gender dimension. According to research from Springer, fiber arts like knitting and crochet are deeply intertwined with the history of feminism and women's self-expression. Since the Industrial Revolution, these have been considered women's work.
But that's changing now?
It's complicated. Young people are both embracing and challenging these gender associations. Luisa Pira from Brooklyn College's Women's Center says they want to fight or work against the stigma of the ageism in the fiber arts community because a lot of people were like, oh, it's for grandmas.
Right, like why is being associated with grandmothers automatically bad?
Exactly. And historically, these crafts have been vehicles for political action. Eleanor Roosevelt led efforts for women to knit and crochet for troops during World War II. In 2016, the Pussy Hat Project became an iconic symbol of the Women's March.
So there's this long tradition of fiber arts as resistance and political expression.
Right. And today's young crafters are continuing that tradition. Take Baylor's Crochet Club. They have an initiative called Stitches of Hope, where members handcraft plushies for children undergoing cleft lip and palate surgeries.